Hey, welcome everyone to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. The show is starting, and speaking of shows, uh, we've we have been to the New York International Auto Show this week, and it's going on right now in Manhattan for the public.
Yeah.
Fred has taken lots of footage and talked to a lot of people. Big doings, right, Fred?
Yeah, actually, a lot of reveals, Les. A lot going on, a lot of tariff talk. Got a chance to experience some really new vehicles, and we're going to be rolling out that content throughout the next couple of weeks. So a lot of good interviews and a lot of great vehicles for sure. And you're right, the public days have just started. I believe probably around this time, actually. But
Yeah,
good
yeah.
stuff. Good to see a lot of questions though about tariffs. A lot of
Well,
executives were like, they're like, "What time is it?" And I said, "What do you mean?" It's like
exactly.
1:30. It's like, "Oh, it will change in 10 minutes." And I said, "Okay."
It's the same here, and that's questions up on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think Subaru's new Outback got some attention, and the introduction of the electric trail seeker and the much improved Solterra. And have you already scheduled a ride?
Well, the Solterra is a little while off, but I did get a ride in the Lucid Gravity, and I'll tell you about that in a
Cool.
little bit. That is pretty amazing. And I did like the Outback, the redesign of it. I was worried it was going to be like just any other you know square SUV, but they did a great job with it. So we'll talk about that. And then over at Jeep, they've got luxury, but now they're going to get incredible off road capability with their Overlander Special Edition of the Wagoneer. They revealed that at the show. And it's got 32-inch tires, skid plates, and heavy duty everything. Wouldn't you like
I,
that?
I, it's a. They're beautiful. They're beautiful inside. They're great. But who, after spending $125,000 or so, would take it off road?
Probably the same person that it's the one that drives their brand new vehicle on the beach near saltwater. I don't know.
Maybe,
I
maybe.
don't know. I don't know. But you have a story about Mini, right?
Mini, yes, Mini is, they're selling like mad, but they've canceled all EVs from its US lineup. It's funny, they've gone back and forth on EVs, but that's it. They're out of the US for the foreseeable future. I'm not going to say for good because
Everything
never assume that.
changes. Yeah, everything is changing constantly here. So,
Yep.
and probably it's probably related to tariffs too, the way
Yeah. Yeah.
way where they're built. But who knows? We'll talk a little bit about that. And then Ram trucks hits a major milestone, and it's a good milestone. We'll talk about that. I actually got a close up look at that Ram Charger chassis, which is the extended range electric, and it's pretty cool. So I did a detailed video on that. We'll have
That
that
is
coming up
cool.
in a little bit, right?
That is very cool. And we're going to celebrate 61 years of Mustang
Wow.
with our guest, Joe Bellino, Mustang Brand Manager. I owned two 65 Mustangs.
Wow.
I loved them both. Put a 250,000 miles on one of them.
Yeah, I tell you, it's one of the most enduring nameplates. I think the Suburban is one of the only American-made vehicles that's been around longer as far as a nameplate goes. But Joe's going to kind of take us through what they're doing to celebrate the 61st anniversary, and we'll reminisce a little bit about it. And it proved that small cars don't have to be boring, and you can make a less expensive vehicle be something that is aspirational. And
Yep.
hey, wouldn't that be a good thing to do again today, huh?
It certainly would. There doesn't seem to be a less expensive vehicle in the sense that These were a lot of excitement for $2,400.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I like the 66 fastback, and I like
Yeah,
and then I actually like some of the ones, the 67 fastback, and then I even like the 70 with the lights in the front grill. I thought it was a kind of a cool looking design and an update on it. So,
yeah.
a lot of great ones out there. I know you are a big fan of the Mustang too, right?
Well, absolutely, absolutely. Mine were both convertibles, um, because I owned convertibles steadily for almost 50 years.
Because you're a man of
Um,
style and substance.
well, the handsome windblown. Uh,
Is it just blew
yeah,
off on top of
I just realized how
us.
stupid that sounds.
You should have kept the top down, a top up, so it didn't blow
That's
away.
right. Yep,
But yeah, that we're gonna reminisce with Joe and have some fun. And
that'll be fun.
I remember sitting behind the wheel of one on a track as a kid in 1964. Like they had to go in the World's Fair, and I thought, why doesn't the steering wheel turn? There's got to be something wrong here. This would be
Well,
hard to as a kid. That's what
yes.
I thought. This would be very hard to drive on the road.
It would be very hard to drive. But yeah, that was that ride at the New York World's Fair, right?
Yeah, that was the ride at New York's World Fair, and I think they had like animatronic dinosaurs, and you rode in
Yeah.
the car, and I can visualize it. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. And hey, if you have a memory of Mustang, a special memory, one of the things I would say to Joe, I'll tell you what, the when the Fox body first came out, that was the beginning of the end of the period of malaise in car manufacturers, because now
That's true.
we started
I
to
would
get
agree.
something in the low 200s for horsepower, and it's like, okay, now we're slowly climbing out of that, hey, it doesn't go fast, but it's got stickers approach. So,
Yeah, the dark ages of
the
the American car industry.
yep, yep. All that and more is coming up. So, why don't we jump in to Subaru and the Subaru Outback, of course, one of the most popular models for Subaru. And it gets a big redesign. And I tell you what, the tension was palpable, Les. I mean, people were worried. What is it going to look like? There was hand wringing. And then they looked at it and said, hey, that doesn't look bad.
No, it looks good to me. I don't really see drastic changes.
No.
Just little design elements that
Well,
it clearly looks like a Subaru.
it's more upright. It's almost like they put a new top on it, right? Like
Hmm.
and they made the shoulders higher of the vehicle, and they put more of a squared off top on it. The rear window does not lay down as much, so that means you get more interior space. I think it looks good. It's a good update. Um, and there's one Easter egg, since we are very close to Easter. There's one Easter egg in the rear tail lights. They have incorporated a ruler, almost like a yardstick. And there's marks that are marked out, so you can measure things with the rear tail lights.
That
Why you would want to
is
do that, I don't know, but
uh,
you can.
well, no, I like that because when I go to a home center
Mm-hmm.
and I want to measure something, years ago they used to hang yardsticks up
Right,
everywhere, but nowhere now. And
because people take them.
of course, I always forget to take a tape measure. So I I like the fact that you can go measure something on your Subaru.
Yeah. It was good reveal. They not only revealed the traditional uh, Outback, but they also had right away the wilderness version of this. And I almost think this looks better in the sense that for some reason the shape of the wheel wells with the additional height, it almost looks better than the outgoing model for some reason. It seems to work a little bit better.
Yeah,
The same glacier blue that people
right.
like, the same anodized uh, highlights, and it's this is, I think, a great upgrade. I mean, this has its maintains its 9.5 inches of ground clearance, which is more than many full size SUVs.
It's a lot.
It has the 2.4 liter Subaru Boxer engine, 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, and it uses a standard lineartronic continuously variable transmission, or CVT, with 8-speed manual shift mode. So the the powertrain has not changed all that much. It's basically the sheet metal, and that has resulted in an enhanced approach, departure, and breakover angles. This is for the Wilderness Edition. The
Yeah.
approach angle has been extended to 20 degrees compared to 18 degrees on the outgoing model, and ramp breakover moves up to 21.2 degrees compared to 19.4 degrees. Departure angle increases to 22.5 degrees compared to 21.4. Um, I liked it immediately. I thought it was great. They have new scratch resistant cladding on the lower doors of the Wilderness model, and yeah, it should be very successful, and no one will be upset and lacking sleep. How's that?
Did, did they have the dogs there?
They did have the dogs. Yeah, they had some puppies there, which were very cute, very very young, and that was great. They got a lot of interest. There was a lot of interest there in the in
That
the.
is very, very cool. And then at the same time, did they show the new Solterra and
They did.
Trailseeker?
They did. Let's look at the Subaru Solterra. This is a model that's gotten some love now, and it comes in the form of more range, more than 25% compared to the current model, which is that's pretty outstanding, if you ask me. Um, it is now equipped with the North American Charging Standard and ACS port. A lot of talk about that on the floor, those ports. It produces 338 combined horsepower from an upgraded powertrain, and charging time
That's
from 10% to 80% in less than 35 minutes, thanks to improved battery preconditioning and charging speeds up to an estimated 150 kilowatt hours, which, believe it or not, is slow these days compared to other
that
manufacturers.
I have to say it's actually quite handsome looking.
It is. I think they've done a nice job with this, and of course, it's. By the way, I've drove the Lucid Gravity with one of those square wheels, kind of, or I guess you call it a rounded rectangle wheel. They're kind of nice. They drive.
Hmm.
They're interesting. Your hands go right where they should go, and I kind of liked it. So that was my first time experiencing a wheel like that. It seems like that is going to be a common thing in the auto industry. Those
Yeah,
rectangular
we're
wheels, round and
the the
rectangle.
the steering wheel is gradually becoming the steering
Square.
device. Yeah.
Now, also over at Subaru, a completely new vehicle. This is like an upsized Solterra. This is called the Trail Seeker. It is the fastest vehicle in the Subaru lineup right now. And this was great. This is a all fresh vehicle, all electric with powerful all wheel drive and an expanded cargo area. It comes standard as all Subarus except for one, with a symmetrical all-wheel drive, 375 horsepower, which is the
Mm.
biggest horsepower output right now for a Subaru, up to 3,500 pounds of towing, and it's powered by a 74.7 kilowatt hour lithium ion high capacity battery, and it delivers more than 260 miles of range from a single charge.
That's very respectable.
Yeah. Um, Developed by Subaru, the Trail Seeker upgrades every drive with unique suspension and all-wheel drive system, tuned to deliver straight line stability and control on various surfaces. Uh, it there's a lot going on at Subaru. They, I
Well,
have to say,
it's amazing. You're used to Subaru being, well, it's the, the same old reliable
models that you're
conventional
used to.
Subaru, which is
Yeah,
great,
yeah,
and you don't expect suddenly these larger and far more advanced and different Subarus, and fast, which has
yeah.
never been. Well,
No,
actually, I take that back. The Subaru,
STI,
yes,
WRX,
right,
STI. Yeah,
with WRX. That's right. We
yeah.
always forget about those.
Um, but they also had the Crosstrek hybrid, which you really can't tell. They didn't allow people to open the hood and things like that, although I'm sure some people tried. Um, and that looks nice, but it just kind of says hybrid on the side. So I look
Hmm.
forward to driving that. But a lot going on at Subaru when you think about it. I mean, new
Yeah,
models, two all new models. I'll call Outback all new because it basically is, and then the Trail Seeker brand new model and a heavily redesigned Solterra. Plus, they brought, normally you would think, oh, the Outback will just bring out the regular Outback and bring the Wilderness version later. They brought it all out at once, so that's pretty good news for Subaru. If you're a Subaru fan, hey, there's a lot to talk about, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Now over to Jeep. Jeep brought out a very capable version of their Wagoneer, which is a ginormous luxury Jeep. It's called the Jeep Overland Special Edition, and it's new for 2025. It's built for challenging conditions, Les Jackson, which are much more than taking the kids
I'm,
to soccer practice.
I am sure.
It
Um,
has 32-inch all-terrain tires, quadra-lift air suspension, two-speed transfer cage, skid plates, and a unique appearance with ample space and creature comforts for 7 passengers.
Jeez. You know, actually, that's a lot of machinery on top of a luxury condo inside.
Right.
These things are incredibly nice inside.
Yes.
We've been driving them for a couple of years.
Yes.
Uh, So again, I wouldn't take one off road, but
Well,
that's just me.
the trend continues. That was another trend. I mean, of course, we're talking about the Jeep Wagoneer Overland Special um, Edition, and it's got all the trail rated stuff, but it is a large 3-row SUV with all the creature comforts. We'll talk about it a little later on. Hyundai did their off-road version of the Palisade. It's kind of, that would be a perfect competitor to this vehicle.
Yeah,
High-end luxury, upgraded interior, but the big wheels, the additional lift, off-road capability. I guess there's a market for that. It, but I wouldn't
it's
take a brand new SUV off-road and crease the side sheet metal on a rock.
no, I'd worry about that. But um, this thing is tall. How tall is it roughly? I mean,
I don't think I have that, but
it's like it looks like it's at least 6.5 feet, if not taller.
well, you think you're rolling on 32-inch tires. It has a quadra-lift air suspension with enabling ground clearance of up to 10 inches. You know what I don't see is what can it ford through water. That would be the ultimate. I'm going to
That
take
would
it
be,
across a
well,
stream.
probably 32 inches.
Yeah. It's a it's a real piece of machinery there. But
Mm.
there's apparently a market out there for very well equipped off road vehicles. What there's
And it's actually pretty affordable too.
pricing on it.
60,000
That
base
is pretty
price.
affordable.
That's
Yes.
for a big thing like that.
Well, they have repriced a lot of their vehicles, Stellantis. So, uh, yeah, I would have said it would be more up there, higher, closer to 100. But there you have it. But there you have it. And let's talk about Mini and EVs.
Yeah.
Mini had plans to bring EV models to the U.S., but now it looks like they have canceled that, and they're still hinting at new gas alternative power plants. I guess hybrids, um, but and new gas engines in general. Um, I think virtually everyone that said they were going to be all electric by certain dates, maybe I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
GM is still doing that, but most everyone, Audi, Mercedes,
They backed off.
Volkswagen, they've all backed off now. Now Mini, uh, BMW saying we're still going to have V8s, and it's in. I don't know. I have to really look into if GM has ever announced that they're going to stay with on the plan of all electric. I doubt it. I doubt it. But nobody knows what's going on now.
That's absolutely true. Um,
But
I got phone calls this week from two friends in Mississippi
mm-hmm,
who own Nissans,
right,
and of course the plant is there,
right.
and one of them has relatives that work at the plant, and the other they both own Nissans, and they called. They're saying, "Can you tell us what's happening at Nissan?" And I told them everything I knew.
Well, that was a big topic of conversation amongst automotive journalists. Will Nissan survive? Will sedans survive? What about Mitsubishi? Mitsubishi is no longer sending new vehicles to their dealers because of the tariffs. They say they have enough
Yeah,
already at the dealers. In the meantime, people are in holding patterns. They're coming up with all ways of hey, they're trying to figure out what the deal is here. And I spoke did an interview with Steve Center, who's COO of Kia America, and he was the guy that said, "What's going on with tariffs? Let me check my watch because it's
yeah,
going to change in
yes,
15
that's
minutes."
right. What time is it?
What time is it? Because
Yeah.
he said it's hard to know what to do. Nobody knows.
Well, the pushback is enormous.
Yeah.
And today, all over the country, there's peaceful protests all over the country. Millions of people are going to be out basically telling their representatives, you gotta do something about this.
Well,
You can't allow it.
and the consensus was, not to get all political on tariffs, but the consensus was it might be a good idea, but you do it surgically. You don't you don't do it
Ex-
everywhere all at once across
exactly.
the world.
Exactly.
So, who knows? But as we're going to get into later, there are some benefits. Honda might build all cars that it sells in America in America. That they're
Yep.
talking about doing all of their cars there. Nissan's looking at it as a plus. They'll sell off more plants because that would be a good way for them to make some money. That's one way, and I think we will lose some brands um, for sure over the course of this. I think there will be some brands that get lost.
Maybe we'll see a merger or two.
Maybe. I don't know. I,
Yeah,
I, I don't. The problem is no one knows what's going on. They can't figure it out because,
that's right. At the highest levels, they don't know what's going on.
right. So, like you say, it's and no and I think automotive journalists understand it better than people making decisions that you can't move a plant in like a week.
Yeah,
Oh, well, give you an extra week. You can't do that. That stuff's planned out 5 years in advance, if not more. And you know what? Parts come from everywhere in the world for anything you buy. You know, it's
true.
just the way it is.
And it's the way it's been for close to 40 years.
Right. And even though the engine is not built in the plant, it does mean that you are employing people and building things. It doesn't mean
That's
that's a
right.
crappy job or something. So, you know, it's ongoing. It is changing, and really, top executives are like, we just try to stay up on it, but we're not quite sure what it means. And I'm sure there's a lot of phone calls amongst executives.
Yeah.
What does it all mean? But
They're earning their incredibly large salaries these days.
yeah, yes, yes, and tough enough to try to migrate. They were all going electric, and then that now that's rolling back, and they're got to bring in hybrids, and it's new safety regulations, self-driving. I still think
That's right.
self-driving is on the back burner. It just they can't do it. They can't do it. So well, let's
Well,
let's
yeah.
let's look for something that's good news here, and that is Ram 1500 trucks have reached a major milestone in Detroit. The Stellantis Sterling Heights Assembly Plant, or SHAP, which is an interesting
That's right. Shap.
acronym, built its 2 millionth Ram
Mm,
1500 on April 16. It was a flame red 2025 Ram 1500 RHO, and it's just an amazing story because this plant was once feared to be shut down, and now they are selected to build the new Ram Charger and some of the many other vehicles that will be coming from the Ram brand very soon. They're going to have like a product assault. So not only did they just hit a milestone at this plant, but um, they've got a great future apparently, right?
well, they really do. They used to build sedans there.
Okay.
And there was a lot of talk about, well, should we shut this plant down? And, smart people prevailed and they said, no, let's build trucks.
Right.
So, boy, and now, now 2 million of them have rolled off that assembly line. That's a big success story.
Yeah, it is, and as I say, they're going to be building the Ram Charger there. I got a chance at the show to get a tour of the chassis of the Ram Charger, and there's a lot of great information there.
Wow.
One thing I found out, uh, the airbag suspension, it almost looks like what you have on a Class 8 truck. There's two airbags in the
Wow.
back, but like a truck would have like four on each side, let's say. But also, it has 8 lugs on the wheels, which is very unique for
That's
a 1500 pickup,
that's heavy
basically.
duty.
Yeah. So that I thought that was cool, and we got into a conversation like why use a big engine. Um, they use a V6 engine to basically charge the battery. The engine is not connected to a drive shaft or anything like that. It is basically being used as a generator, and the idea was, well, we know how to build this and we have the tooling for it, and we can
Yeah,
run this at a very low RPM, and it's good. We already have done the work on this. Why not
it
keep
is.
building? Another interesting thing I learned about it, they have engineered into this. They were afraid that people would have trouble driving the Ram Charger since the engine, once again, is not connected to there is no transmission. It's just
That's right.
it could be at a steady RPM, but the engineers thought this is weird for people as they're driving to hear the engine, running at 2000 RPM and they accelerate away and it doesn't change tone. They've engineered into the engine that it will raise up a little bit to give you the sensation of the
Okay, just to make you make your muscle memory
Yes,
react to it.
yes, yes. So
That's
I
smart.
find that pretty cool. If you remember, that was a problem for people driving electric cars that were totally silent. They needed
Yeah,
to hear, as I pushed down, they needed to hear the sound of the the motor revving up, and they if they didn't, it almost made it hard to drive. So that's it's kind of interesting that they engineer that into it. But plenty more to come on the Ram Charger. As I said, I put together a great video, and we'll have that coming up, and we'll let you know. But neat engineering, right?
what's really nice, what really stands out to me is that the New York show, which around here, people were expecting very little out of it.
Yes, that's right.
It wasn't the monster that it used to be. And it
Right.
turns out it was uh,
There was some
pretty
news.
decent.
Yeah, there was some news. There was certainly some news for sure. Um, hey, I see our guest has joined us, Joe Bellino, who
Ah,
is the Mustang Brand Manager. Joe, we'll welcome you to Cruise Control. How you doing today?
Great, thanks for having me. I appreciate you opening up your schedule for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were just talking about the New York Auto Show, and I know Ford. I was over there shooting some video. They had the GTD and a whole other, celebration of Mustang. Uh, I have some great historical footage here and that, and we were just kind of starting the show. Both of us were reminiscing about Mustangs. Les, my co-host here, who you'll meet in a second, had two 1965, right, Mustangs?
that's right. That's right. Both convertibles, both fast. um,
Love it.
and 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 of course, I also owned the predecessor of the Mustang, which was the Falcon Sprint from Monte Carlo, and that was even faster. But the wonderful thing about Mustangs is that they sold equally well to both men and women.
Wow.
The appeal was universal, and you can talk to anybody, anywhere, any age, and say, "Hey, what do you think about the Mustangs?" They all know what it is, and that name something else that they know that.
Yeah, that's true.
It
It's just
transcends time. That's what we always say at Ford. Everyone's got that Mustang story.
Yeah.
That first time they saw it, it's very recognizable, and we've stayed true to the DNA of your show. And the first generation car. We've stayed true to that DNA, and you can see styling cues from that generation to the seventh generation now, which is really important to us to kind of keep that look and feel alive.
Yes, yes. Well, Joe, my memory of it, it came from the 1964 uh, World's Fair, and I believe they had them to sit in, and there was a ride, and I remember sitting on my dad's lap and trying to, it's on a track, so the steering
Oh
wheel was
yeah.
locked, and I was like, "There's something wrong," car guy early on. I was like, "I can't turn this wheel. This would be
yeah.
really hard to steer. Too much steering effort."
I love it.
So I
Oh,
remember
that's
it.
so cool. Yeah, the Skyway Mustangs.
Yeah, Skyway Mustang. I think some of them still
Hmm.
exist. I think maybe 15
They
of them
do.
still exist. Yeah. So,
Wow.
we were saying Mustang is a great lesson in it was an affordable icon, like an affordable aspirational vehicle, and I can't really think of many vehicles like that. I mean, it proved that small vehicles didn't have to be just kind of utilitarian. They could be exciting, and when people saw this thing for the first time, they're like, "Wow, I can afford that."
Absolutely. Yeah, we always like to say fast, fun, and for everyone, right? And
Hmm.
I think that's what Mustang did extremely well. And when we look at it, Mustang, we offer a variation or a price point for every kind of customer that's out there, right? You
Hmm.
can spend sub $32,000 now and get a great 315 horsepower EcoBoost Mustang, or you can spend, upwards of $400,000 on a GTD. So there's
Right.
something in there, and that's what we've stayed with since that point in time. To your point is we've got a Mustang for everyone. You could have got a 6-cylinder, could get a V8 with the horsepower that you wanted. It
Yep.
really was up to you on what you wanted Mustang to be.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And
And
go ahead, Les.
I was just thinking, still, and I know people that have brand new Mustangs, um, it still feels uh, very much like it's always felt. It's one of those. It's one of those cars that makes you feel good when you get in it, and it just
It
feels like,
does.
well, you're going to smile and take off and not think so much about traffic. It's just got a personality.
It does. You're having that bad day at work, you hop in the Mustang and go home, and all of a sudden that changes. I love taking mine out on the weekend after a long day of work or a long week of work. It's something freeing about the car. That sense of Americana. I can just hop in and go and put the windows down or the top down and just have fun with it. And I'm not sure there's many other cars that give you that sense of freedom and power that Mustang gives you, especially over 61 years.
You know, uh, as brand manager, I know you probably, Joe, do endless studies as who buys the Mustang and all that. And as Les pointed out, the first one was, men and women buying it. Is
Mhm.
that still the case today, or is it, or what are the demos like for the people that buy Mustang?
Sure. Yeah, I think you nailed it. The first generation was very much men and women focused, and we still are very men and women focused. We have more men buying Mustang now than women, and I think that's something that we're looking at to see how do we evolve Mustang and what was so impactful in that first generation of Mustang that brought women into the brand, and what can we do now, right? So that's one of the things we're always looking at is we're looking at age range that are buying, demos that are buying, household incomes, because that all impacts the future car that we bring out, right? We need to make it affordable. We need to make it so that everyone has an opportunity to buy this car. So that's part of the research and part of the fun stuff that I get to do on a daily basis is figuring out what that right price point is, what that right customer is for Mustang. And luckily for us, when we're the best selling sports car, it makes my job a little bit easier because we have that open door and a lot of people in, but it's a really cool exercise to figure out what that right market is for us.
Well, what I was going to ask is the market. There's a lot less competitors now for Mustang, right? Camaro's
Yeah.
gone. We don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
will come back or what it will come back as.
Sure.
Over at Stellantis, the Charger and Challenger, that's all changed. We don't know if there will be a V8 version. Maybe there will. I tend to think there probably will at some point, but right now, no. I mean, does that make your job easier or harder? There's less competition, but you still got to keep interest in a V8 powered, not that they're all V8 powered, but a V8 powered rear drive sports car, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, right? When there's less competitors in a segment and the segment is shifting, what does that do to the overall buying and customer sentiment in that particular segment? Um, I'm not sure it makes it easier or harder. It just poses new challenges, right? We're the only V8 sports car in the sports car segment right now. You have Corvette, which is in a premium sports car segment, and they're at a higher price point than we are. So we're in with MX-5s, GR86s, Toyota Supras. Um, we're outselling them. And, I think when we look at some of our American competitors that have come and gone over the 60 years, we've stayed true and consistent. And I think that's a testament to Ford's commitment to the Mustang and the sports car segment and the pony car, where we see a value in offering a customer an affordable V8, an affordable sports car that they can enjoy, and it's not going to break the bank. So we're extremely proud. I can't speak for other manufacturers, right? And I like to say that we're the longest continuing sports car in production. Over that time, some have come and gone, some have missed model years, but Mustang stayed true in itself and what we've offered our customers. And I think we're really proud of that.
How did Ford know that this was going to uh, have such staying power. I mean, the commitment to make it was there, but you had to have a reason to spend the money and make the business case for for the Mustang to continue it. Uh, Somebody must have known that it was going to continue to sell well, and yet nobody else has managed to do that.
Yeah, it's an interesting proposition, right? When you look at it, I think back in in the '64 Lee Iacocca saw there was a gap in the market. I don't think any of us could have saw it being this big of a success 61 years later.
Hmm.
I think others have tried to replicate what we do and are not able to do it, and I think that's a testament to the brand and how we interact with our enthusiasts and our consumers. Right, we value the people who buy our cars and the people who love Mustang extremely high. We love to engage with them. We love to interact, and the biggest thing, we love to get their feedback. These are the people that are buying our cars, that are driving them on a daily basis. We want to know what they like and don't like. And I think we take that feedback extremely well and help shape each generation of Mustang so that it's what they want and it's what they enjoy driving. I think it's one thing that if you don't listen to them, you're not giving your consumer what they want to buy.
Hmm.
Um, but I think, selling a million Mustangs that first year, I don't know if anyone could have predicted how hot of a success this car would have been. But we're certainly glad that it has, and we've continued to run with that. And my goal is to keep that enthusiasm and that passion going for the next 61 years as well.
Yeah, we've had some of your other colleagues on that work on the F-150 team, and that I think the pressure's on
Yep.
because it's not like any other new nameplate. Like, hey, well, we've done our research, let's see how it does. I mean, you have to keep that momentum going, and that can be hard at times. I mean, and like any story, Mustang has had high points and low points. I think one of the high points for me was when the third generation, the Fox body, came out. And at that time, it was kind of automotive malaise. Automotive journalists call it the malaise period. And that was the first car where I think the GT had 215, 210 horsepower from the 302. And it was like, hey, that's a little ray of sunshine, you know? And it had some handling with the TRX wheels. And it's like, hey, things might be getting better. It might be better. And we didn't realize it would get as good as it did with horsepower and that. But for me, that was a standout moment. What are some of the standout moments in the history of Mustang that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, wow, there's a lot. When I think of Mustang, for me, growing up, it's got to be like the '03 '04 Cobra introduction
Okay.
into Mustang, the Terminator. That
Mm-hmm.
that was iconic. I had that poster on my wall growing up, and then I'm a
Little
huge
did
fan
you
of the
know.
S197.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, right? Who would have guessed that I would be in this spot today? I've always liked Mustangs. I give credit to my dad for introducing me to the brand, and he was a Mustang lover, and it rubbed off on me. And so having that poster of a Cobra on my wall kind of laid the groundwork for me. But then S197, that's one of my favorite generations. I have one in my garage. I
Mm-hmm.
love the classic styling with the modern take to it. But then
Mm-hmm.
I also have an S550. I have a 350R, and that is by far my favorite Mustang. So when I look back at it, I look at all the movie appearances that Mustang's made, all of the songs
Yep.
Mustang's been in. I'm not sure there's one moment that I like better than the others, probably because I can't say that as a brand manager. I love them all equally. But it's just so iconic when you turn on a like Gone in 60 Seconds or Bullet and you see the brand that so many people love and that you get to work on every single day just means a lot. So the fact that Mustang is embedded with Americana and embedded in people's lives, and people get married and want to have a Mustang there.
Yeah.
Their birth of their child, they bring them home in a Mustang, and these are things that people remember over the time, and we're really excited to be a part of people's lives and be able to influence how they view Mustang and view the Ford brand.
Yeah, we are talking with Joe Bellino, who is the Mustang Brand Manager, getting some inside take on it. Okay, Joe, we got to talk about this one. I don't know if this is your favorite, the Mustang 2.
it served a place in time, right?
I,
I think
I
it
remember
was
it being used on Charlie's Angels, which I would watch all
yes.
the time. And I thought, okay, they even had a Mach 1 version, sort of. But I didn't mind the style. I thought it looked kind of nice for the time, you know?
Okay, I'm going to be a defender of the Mustang too. I didn't own one, but I drove a couple. I had friends that had them, and they actually ran really well.
Yeah.
And their suspension, their front suspension,
Is used in
uh,
all kind of hot
was
rods.
Yes.
all kinds of stuff. I actually restored a '55 Thunderbird and converted the entire front subframe to a Mustang 2 front suspension. It was terrific. Um, but I'm with Fred. I think the car was actually quite handsome.
Yeah.
Um, but a number of people didn't like it for reasons I don't know. They couldn't really explain it. It looked like a Mustang.
It made a great looking race car. Remember, Gap and Roush used to run one, the fastback one, as a pro stock car, and
Yeah,
I was like, "Wow, that looks slick to me. It looks like a
yeah, that's
Mustang."
right.
Yeah,
But somehow
it's polarizing.
it just got this reputation that it I don't know didn't deserve. But I think it was more just the time than it was the car.
I think so too. Coming out of the first generation and you have different fuel crises taking place across
Yep.
the country at that
Yep.
time, and I think that's what made it really polarizing. But you bring up some really good points. It's like a Mustang. It had really good performance attributes with that subframe, and we've got a guy on our team at Ford who is a huge Mustang 2 fanatic, and so he rubs off on me. So I've learned a lot of Mustang 2 through him and some of what makes it so great because he owns a couple. The King Cobra, right? Those were
Yeah.
unique in those aspects. So hey, that's what makes Mustang so great. Whether you like it or not, there's a generation of people who love that car and
Y-
really support it. And you might have, you might be a third gen guy or a fourth gen lady. It doesn't matter, and that's what makes Mustang so great is we've got a generation that somebody loves, and you know what? It's still part of the brand, and we love every single generation here.
I even like some of the late or early 70s models that, people were worried it got big, but all cars were getting bigger then, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, they were.
And it just it really is the way things go. My favorite's probably the '66 Fastback, though. I think that was good. And
Yeah, well, it's hard to beat that. And
here's some early footage of an open cockpit version. That was
yep,
what Mustang One, I believe. Isn't that what they called it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. This was really the laid the groundwork for what Mustang was going to be. I can only imagine back then all of the hurdles they were going to trying to bring this car to market and getting buy off and sign in. And I'm
yeah.
glad they did because look where we are now. We've created something really special.
Yeah. Yeah. Love the old footage, Joe. This is
It just yeah.
It's
When
cool,
you, I
right?
guess, as they say, when you're designing this, you don't realize how cool it is because you're just so busy designing it.
Yeah, I would say,
Uh,
do engineers still wear short sleeve white shirts and skinny ties at Ford? I would guess probably not.
What's a little different now over there? We get to sit with the engineering team and design team. It's a little different. The big glasses and the ties and the lab coats are gone. Um, but it's an interesting spot to see. And I think when you're so close to a product like this, you're working on a great product, but you're not seeing what the customers are seeing and how close you are to it. So I think it's you get to take a step back and say what you're doing is making an impact on people's lives, and the engineers and the designers are creating something so unique that people are loving and talking about every generation.
do you come up with ideas that the engineers go, hey, it's a pretty good idea. Let's try this. I mean, they're that
Yes.
receptive.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of back and forth. We have a really collaborative team. So Mustang is you would think it's a big team and it is, but it's also really small on the people that meet daily on it. We're sitting with the chief program engineers. We're sitting with a lot of the different program teams and coming up with ideas. So we will throw out ideas saying, "Hey, customers are telling us this. we need to bring this to market. And, we look to ways to do it, right? It may not be this model year, but it may be the next model year that we can bring this in. So the engineers that we work with and the designers are a great group that are really receptive to the ideas, and we're really receptive to the ideas that they might have from a marketing standpoint or different offering strategies that they're looking at. So it's a really one big team, and a lot of our duties cross lines, and it's really fun to work with, because we may say, hey, we want to bring this color to market, or we want to bring this feature.
Right.
We saw it here. Like, let's see what we can do. And
Yeah.
so there's never a no. It's what can we do to make it better.
Yeah, interesting stuff. And of course, Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, said we're going to stick
Yep.
with V8s. I would imagine manuals as well as an option. And
That's right.
I mean, I think that's got to be comforting to you, Joe.
Is there
Yes,
any
it's really,
anything that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
but no, I was just gonna say it's really great having a CEO like this, who really pushes you to do this and really backs you up on the car. So it's really great having a car guy, especially when you're on the Mustang brand.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah. Are there one or two options that people ask for that you just can't or don't want to do for good reasons? And I can't think of such an option, but are there things a lot of people ask for that you just say, no, that would ruin the Mustang's DNA?
Yeah, everyone's got an opinion on it, right? So you always get those awkward, crazy ideas, but there's also a lot of ideas that people have that are really good that we might not be able to bring to market because A, it's too costly at that
Mhm.
time to kind of re-engineer something, or B, we're limited by government regulations on things from a fuel economy or CO2 standpoint that we're not
Yeah.
able to bring to market that we would like to. We're just kind of handcuffed in certain spots. So, there's not one. I think maybe the biggest one is, hey, where's a supercharger at from the factory? And we hear that one loud and clear, and we offer that through our Ford Performance Parts catalog. That's probably
Absolutely.
the biggest one I hear when
Yeah.
I go out
Hmm.
to shows.
Yeah, but you have an option. They can keep their warranty. And of course,
Mhm.
Mustang is, I believe it's Mustang and Jeep Wranglers are the two most modifiable vehicles, and the aftermarket supports it with tons. And you have your in house group for performance, which, I mean, that's a great option too. You can buy a straight up GT and then just build
Yeah.
it out the way you like it. There's all kinds of
Mhm.
things to do, and that's kind of an exciting thing for me. I always find that great if you buy a popular model and there's a lot of support and there's a lot of talk out on the
Yes.
internet. You join a community basically, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it. That's where Mustang is one of the most customizable cars, and we love that, and we try to offer that from the factory, with different paint colors, wheel options, different seat belts, whatever it might be. We offer the gamut, but if you want to add some upgraded performance, we support you from the manufacturer side through Ford Performance Parts. Go to the dealer. You mentioned 800 horsepower with a warranty,
Mm.
is
That's
unbelievable.
incredible.
Which is not many are doing that, so we're really proud of that part too.
No.
Yeah. You don't need to change the exhaust, by the way. There's one vehicle, it is so, I know when I hear a Mustang and the factory exhaust to me, it's perfect. So I wouldn't do anything to change that. Although you do have options to change that, but really even the quiet neighbor mode, uh, is kind of a
Yeah.
It's
fun
so
thing.
cool, isn't
That's
it?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
active exhaust. You can,
it is
yeah,
cool.
which is great. Where before you had one exhaust, and if you wanted it to be louder, you had to go to the aftermarket, right? Now we offer active valve exhaust from the factory, where just through the dashboard, you are changing your level of exhaust from quiet to normal to sport to track mode. It just opens it up and gives you versatility, where if you want it to be quiet at 8 a.m. in the morning, you're going to that Cars and Coffee, you don't want to wake your neighbors up, quiet mode. When you get to Cars and Coffee, you're on track mode and it's super loud. So that's what is so cool about it. And you're right. When I hear a Mustang go down the road, I immediately, without knowing it or without looking at it, I know it's a Mustang just by that rumble.
Yeah. Yeah. We should talk about the GTD. I mean, Jim Farley's idea is to have the Mustang compete with Porsches, basically, right? And that's, I mean,
Why
who would
not?
have thought that a car based on the Falcon would be competing with Porsches. It was
That's right.
just a
Well,
fun
but
car, nicely styled, right, Les?
that's right. But the Porsche was based on the Volkswagen, so
There you go.
it's even.
Yeah, I mean, did you
That's
ever
true.
think you see that, Joe, and or hear that from somebody in charge?
Yeah. No, but I'm glad we did, right? We brought the GTD to market, and it's one of a kind, right? We've never offered something like this on the Mustang platform before. Where, to your point, it's really slated to go up against the Mercedes, the Porsches, the Aston Martins of the world, and really become this performance icon that we all know it here in the United States, but that the world is put on notice now, right? We went to their backyard, we went to the Nürburgring, and set a sub 7 minute lap time, which we're the
Wow,
only American produced car
it's
to do that.
phenomenal.
When you look at the list, a sub 7 minute time is small. Then you make it, you're the only American car is an awesome feat. I mean, carbon fiber body, active aero front and rear. We got a DRS rear wing like you see in a Formula One car, magnesium wheels, inboard suspension where you can see it moving side to side through a we call it a in the back of the car there. So really something you wouldn't expect to see on our car, but we offer that ability for customers to go out and race on the weekends with it.
Yeah, the range again on prices from the EcoBoost Model S, which is great. I drove that. And I thought it was a lot of fun with a manual, and the GTD is what? I mean, it's like what from 30 some odd thousand all the way up to over 400.
Yeah, sub
Yeah,
32,000
it's
to
quite a bit.
400,000.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, that is incredible. What's your feeling, Joe? I don't know if you were on the team when the Mach-E came out and used the Mustang name. Was that hard for some people to get used to? I mean, at first, for me, it wasn't. It looks like a Mustang. It has Mustang DNA, but could Mustang become its own brand? Do you think with multiple vehicles?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think at that time there was probably some uncertainty by putting the name on it, but I think in the long run it was the right thing for the brand to do because it's offering our customers a different choice too, right? It's a electric vehicle. It gives you more storage space. It still keeps the DNA and the performance of the Mustang, but we're just giving customers another option and another choice to go experience Mustang in the way that works for them.
Right.
So may have been controversial at the time, but I think as the vehicle's been out now for multiple years and people have had a chance to drive it and see it and experience it, it starts to make more sense to them of what the vehicle is and how it fits in the Mustang lineup for us.
I wonder if there's a hybrid in the in the bucket list.
Oh, you never know. I think, obviously I can't talk about future product or
No,
speculate on it, but we're always looking to evolve Mustang and make it the next best car for us and to keep bringing different technologies. What that looks like, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yes, and when we know
yep.
more, we will have you back, Joe. I mean,
Sure.
your favorite Mustang again is what?
Oh, so it's a 69 Boss 429 is my
Wow.
favorite.
Yeah. Did you ever drive one? Is there one in the Ford Heritage fleet anywhere?
Not that I've seen. I haven't driven one yet. Well, I'm sure I'll have to let someone let me get behind the wheel, but I've just always loved the styling and the look of that car.
Yeah.
Not to mention when you shoehorn a big V8 in there, that always makes it a little bit better too.
I just wonder how it would handle. It's a lot of weight up front.
Oh, they went
Yeah,
straight ahead really well. I had a friend that had
it,
a GT 500 KR with a big 429 in it. It was fast. I mean, really fast. But but don't stand on the brakes too hard, and don't try to take that sweeping turn up ahead at speed because it's going to teach you what oversteer is all about. Uh,
Yeah. But
absolutely.
but that's all part of its DNA. That's part of
yeah,
it.
and I wish I had one. I mean, I would love to have one of those right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
some of the GT 500s I've driven. The most recent one a couple of years ago, because I thought it
Yeah.
was an all-around great Mustang. You know, it was fast on the drag strip. I remember going to the event and they put somebody in there that had never been to a drag strip, and they went 9 seconds in a street
Oh,
car,
wow.
which is pretty fast. That's a
That's
fast,
fast.
drag car, and could handle, but it wasn't so crazy that you couldn't say get in it and, as you say, go to a Cars and Coffee
Yeah.
or go out to dinner and just not have something that was too wild. So I like that balance there. I thought it was pretty good, and I would have opted for one without all the big wings and stuff to fly a little under the
Sure.
radar.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's me. Some
All the
people
carbon
like,
fiber.
yeah, yeah. I'm interested in your
That's the options we give you.
yeah. I'm interested in your colleague's King Cobra Mustang too, because I don't think I've ever seen one for real. I've seen obviously the videos.
Never seen one.
Yeah, and the Mach 1 that we showed there.
They're rare.
They're very, very rare.
Yeah,
It must have been low numbers, I think. So
Yeah, and I'll have to talk to him because he always brings it out to local car shows, and we're heading to one today here for National Mustang Day where they got a local car show. So I'm thinking I'll see him out there. I'll have to see if he brought that one out and ask him a few questions on it. I've not seen it in person in a while, so I'll have to see what it looks like here.
well, Joe, that sounds like you've got a great day planned out
Yep.
there. Anything else big happening for celebrating 61 years of Mustang?
We, 60 was our big celebration that we had last year. 61 is we're happy to be there, and we've got local car shows and local events that we're supporting. May 3rd at Ford World Headquarters, we're opening up that Heritage Vault that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and we're giving customers a chance to bring their cars out, but see what our Heritage Vault looks like and some of the concept cars from years past, and see stuff that you normally wouldn't get a chance to see that are locked behind closed doors.
Maybe you'll get to drive that 429 then. Maybe there'll be one.
Yeah, that
Fingers
would be
crossed.
cool.
We'll see.
Well, Joe, we really enjoyed talking to you. Great to have a car guy on the show, working for a car guy company. Joe Bellino, Mustang brand manager. Joe, we'll have to have you back on sometime to talk Mustang some more.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Keep up the excitement.
Yeah, enjoy
Thank
the
you.
show today too, as well. I hope you have good
Thanks.
weather. So,
Fingers crossed.
all right. Well, thank you for listening to Cruise Control. Don't forget to check us out on our social media outlets. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.
Bye.